Friends of Goa, welcome to episode 2 of Off the Field with me, Anish Kwenim. Today's episode talks all about the world and unfortunately the word cheating. What happens when we're cheated? What happens when we cheat someone? And what happens when we have to bounce back after being cheated and come back in this world, because we know that we just can't stay down there. We always have to climb back up and always get back to life. With us in the studio today, I have someone really interesting. He's been someone who's always been a mentor to me. He's always been a friend, and more than anything, he's been my brother, Nishad Pai Vaidya. But there are times when you don't cheat. There are times when you prepare everything in your control to go out there and give it your 100%. And this question goes back to you, Yogita. You're a coach. Even as a player, I'm going to ask you a question. You've tried so hard, you've done everything possible, you've understood all the strategies that have been needed to go out there and win. And then when you're playing on match day, the opposition does something which isn't in your favor. How would you handle that? Isn't that a pure sign of dejection, maybe even rejection of your own confidence? And how do you handle this?
बिल्कुल ये चीज़ होना पार्ट ऑफ गेम है कि कभी कभी ऐसे होता है मैच में कि डिसीजंस हमारी फेवर में नहीं होते, अंपायरिंग गलत हो जाती है, जहाँ सामने टीम वाला प्लेयर जो है, जहाँ टीम मेंबर्स चीट करते हैं, तो बिल्कुल ये पार्ट ऑफ गेम है, बिल्कुल होता है ऐसे गेम में, और ये मेरा पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है। और एज अ प्लेयर मैं इस चीज़ को बहुत अच्छे से समझ सकती हूँ, क्योंकि इससे प्लेयर बहुत बुरी तरह से इरिटेट हो जाता है, उसका अपने माइंड से कंट्रोल बिल्कुल ख़त्म हो जाता है, और कोच के लिए भी डिफ़िकल्ट हो जाता है कि हम लोग जीतने वाले होते हैं और हम लोग लास्ट मिनट में लूज़ कर जाते हैं। बट मेरा ये मानना है कि हम इस चीज़ को हैंडल भी कर सकते हैं। ये कोच की ड्यूटी है कि जैसे टीम को, प्लेयर्स को जैसे हम ट्रेनिंग करते हैं, वैसे ही उनकी मेंटल ट्रेनिंग होनी चाहिए। उनको इन सब चीज़ों के लिए पहले से ही मेंटली प्रिपेयर करना चाहिए। अगर हम किसी भी प्लेयर को ये सब डिफ़िकल्टीज़ जो आने वाली हैं हमें पता है, तो हम उसको मेंटली प्रिपेयर करके मेंटल टफनेस के साथ हम इस चीज़ को बहुत अच्छे से हैंडल कर सकते हैं। और ये पार्ट ऑफ गेम है, मैच में ये चलता है। बिल्कुल है कि इसका बहुत बुरा इफेक्ट होता है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है कि हम इस चीज़ से डील नहीं कर सकते, हम बिल्कुल इस चीज़ को हैंडल कर सकते हैं।
Nishad, a very interesting view which Yogita mentions, and she speaks as a player and also as a coach. But tell me something. At the end of the day, if something like this has gone wrong, the first person who gets the sack, irrespective of whether it was you or it wasn't you, is your number one, who's your coach. Isn't that unfair?
Well, when you actually see the events and as they transpire, and possibly when you've been cheated, when you have been cheated but you don't know as yet, and it's just that you feel, we've had a bad day in the office, so there may be a bit of acceptance. Yeah. It's only later when there is an exposure of the cheating scandal and possibly the aggrieved party, the coach who hasn't done anything wrong and he's been sacked for his team's poor performance, who are at the receiving end, he will definitely feel hard done by, because he would have said, what if it was a level playing field and we'd made a comeback, I would still be in the job. Now that's just human, and that's fair for him to think.
And
like
in fact, going beyond the field, like considering off the field, we're going off the field now.
Exactly, yeah.
And let's talk about life in general.
Yeah.
We approach life in a certain way where we want things to happen as per a desirable and a favorable outcome.
Yeah.
We try, we don't get there. Sometimes we try and cheat together, or we try so honestly and someone in front of us has cheated, and it just makes us want to give up and just let go of everything that we've tried. Isn't this so related to life?
Of course it is. It is just so related to life. And one more thing that I'd like to add is, you can fool the whole world, but you can't fool yourself.
Right.
If you know you've got somewhere by cheating, there'll always be this thorn inside your thought saying that, do I deserve this? Because I've got there by cheating. So you can lie to the whole world, you can hide from them, you can't hide from yourself.
Right, and if you go back and see all the repercussions that happened because of the ball tampering issue with the Australian team, there were so many people who were actually affected, not just them. Imagine the players around them who yet have to continue that match and finish off the series. Imagine the families that have to handle the aftermath of, the backlash of what happens because of these incidents. Imagine the people of Australia who are looked down as cheats. It doesn't matter whether it's one player or it's the whole team. The people of Australia then consider that. And let's not just talk about Australia. Let's talk about any country, anyone in general. It could just be you. Isn't that really sad, Nishad?
It is. It is really sad. In fact, you just have a look at a snowballing effect of things that happened because of the ball tampering scandal. First and foremost, what pained everyone the most was the fact that these players, yes, they have cheated on the field, but they are not criminals. They were whisked off through airports in South Africa as if they were criminals. And then when they got back to Australia, they obviously had those press conferences. And Stephen Smith also broke down over there. Some of them, I think, also lost their endorsements. So that was quite a big hit. I mean, Stephen Smith was the #1 batsman in the world. And for him to lose out 1 year, possibly when he could have taken his game to another level, it's really sad from that point of view. And it does affect the families. Look at David Warner.
Right. So, when you do talk about the snowballing effect, I think not only did it affect Cricket Australia, but there was a snowballing effect even on the Indian Premier League, where we lost out on seeing them on our television channels.
Yes, in fact, it does affect everyone if you have a look at this. Because ultimately people are like, why are we going to watch them? Why should they come here? Why should they endorse this brand? Will I buy that brand because he's endorsing it? So because of that, it all affects. And obviously the wounds are raw, so it takes time to heal. With time, everything heals. A year down the line, when they're back, there will obviously be acceptance and forgiveness, should I say. So yes, it does affect everything. I mean, this is just the perfect example.
This is such a good learning. I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to talk about this incident to explain to you how cheating can really affect you and your entire family's life and everyone attached to you. Sometimes you won't even understand that the people not attached to you are being affected by this. Imagine the children. Imagine the children watching this. Imagine the generations of tomorrow. Nishad, we would like you to stay back with us in the studio. We've got a very interesting guest who would be joining us very shortly. This guy is a cricketer himself. He's someone who's played cricket at the highest level, one very, very proud Goan cricketer. He's played at Chennai Super Kings. He then went on to play for the Royal Challengers Bangalore and then went on to play for the Gujarat Lions. We have Shadab Jakati joining us in the studio very shortly. And Nishad, I believe you and Shadab have worked together at some level, even at Gujarat Lions. And the viewers are really looking forward to understanding his view as a player and how it could have affected the entire psyche of the team and even individual performances going forward. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the second episode of Off the Field with me, Anish Gwenim. Today we're talking about cheaters never prosper. And before we went into a break, we had Nishad Paivaidya with us, who was the ex-media manager of the IPL, and he's worked with so many other teams, and he's now a sports image consultant for off-the-field representation. With us in the studio now, we have a very close friend of mine who's joining us again. It's always nice to see him. It's always nice to learn from him, and more importantly, be inspired by him all the time. We have someone who's played cricket at the highest level for Goa. He's been in the IPL continuously for the last 10 years with Chennai Super Kings, Royal Challengers Bangalore, and then the Gujarat Lions. We have with us Shadab Jakati. Shadab, such an honor to have you with us at Off the Field. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Shadab, this incident that we spoke about today typically dealt with what happened in the Australian camp, where, the ball tampering issue became such a big problem. I mean, yes, you have cheated. You've gone out and, created an error which has had a serious ripple effect, like how Nishad spoke about in the earlier segment. We yet have Nishad with us in the studio. Tell us something, Shadab. As a player, let's imagine you donning the Australian kit, in Team Australia. As a player, you've just lost 3 of your best men. You have the entire backlash of the media, an entire backlash of a nation. People have stopped believing in you, and you still have to come out tomorrow to play another day of this test. What would happen to a player?
It's very unfortunate, what happened in the Cape Town test. These incidents certainly, disturbed the whole cricketing world. As a bowler myself, sometimes I have been asked questions whether in today's cricket, bowlers should get some leeway. Reverse swing is a difficult art. Yes, I agree, reverse swing, it's a very difficult art, but then stealing is also an art, right?
Right.
And you won't, you'll either put the thief in the jail or praise him.
Right.
So it's simple. It's very simple. In today's cricket, bowlers, it's all about skills. There's so many things coming up, right? With bouncers, slowers, knuckleballs, and everything. So, but it's an art. Reverse swing is an art, and there are certain ways to prepare the ball. For me, tempering was dishonesty, and more for me, it's a phenomena that you see in today's Test cricket, as in one days and T20s with the wide ball. The ball doesn't reverse swing much, and with the two new balls, the new rule which has been applied with the two new balls coming in the ODIs. So it's very difficult for the bowlers to reverse swing the ball. So it's mainly in the Test cricket. But then again, as I said, ball tempering is dishonesty for me. As a player, if you ask me, it certainly affects the team. The integrity of the player as well as the integrity of the team gets damaged.
And imagine you yet have to come out. It's a test match. I believe a test match is a 5-day event. This has happened. They've had to let go of everything. Let's say the match gets over. You have one more match. You're coming out again as a player. You've lost your best people. What's going on in your mind? There's so much of thrashing. There's so much of thrashing which is indirectly affecting you. How does it affect you as a player?
No, exactly. It does affect as a player. The morale of the team goes down. The atmosphere in the dressing room is terrible. There's so many people asking questions. The pressure from press and then family members and all that stuff happening. So it's not the best time to play cricket when these things happen. It does really affect your game.
Yeah, and such a great learning this is for just life in general, that an incident of this scale can affect you in entirety. Nishad, you're with us. I believe you and Shadab have worked together at some stage at the Gujarat Lions. Let's take the situation back to you all possibly being teammates in an issue of this era. And this had happened. Shadab is honest. Shadab had nothing to do with it. Okay? We're being in a very hypothetical situation right now. Okay? Shadab had nothing to do with this incident. But yet, you have to protect him. What is going through both your minds?
So fortunately, these guys never allowed that situation to happen, so thank you for having my back over there. But yeah, I mean, it's a balance of sorts. Now, I mean, the original school of thought is that you go out there, you accept your mistake in front of the media, put your hand up and say, fine, we did wrong, and this is not something that shouldn't have happened. As a media manager, I could have possibly told the players not to lash out, as I said earlier, because it's just going to make matters worse. Because there's already anger. If you say something wrong, they're just going to cut to that and they're going to tell, this player said this, this is what we'll also hold against him. How could he behave like this? So it's a lot about that. You want to say the right things. You want to show that you're genuinely sorry. But at the same time, we've seen what happened with the Australians. They came to the press conference and said that this is what happened, and yet the anger didn't die down. So possibly now the strategies would be different. Because right now it has to be, even when you're taking onus, it has to be a lot more open rather than vague. It has to be the fact that you're genuinely sorry, put your hand up. And it's not something that, you are saying that we did this sort of thing. You just accept your culpability, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, Shadab, what Nishad's explaining brings so much of light on the fact that there are times when we are just not involved in something. We're just not a part of something that has unfortunately happened with even someone close to us. But then again, there are some people who teach us great examples. Okay, there are people who cheat, and then there are some people who know that if I cheat, I might not be the best example to the world. And this brings me back to think about some cricketers who we used to idolize growing up, like Adam Gilchrist, like Jacques Kallis, who were cricketers who, in spite of the umpire not giving them out, would walk off the field. What an incredible example for the world.
Absolutely, they were the legends of the game. Brian Lara was another example where I have seen a couple of times, few times walking off, before the umpires giving him out. I believe, cricket should be played in the right spirit of the game. And for me, the best examples I would say is 2003 World Cup, as you said about Adam Gilchrist. 2003 World Cup against Sri Lanka, it was a semi-final match and he was in terrific form. And I believe of Aravinda De Silva, so he tried to sweep the ball and Sangakkara caught it and they appealed, but umpire was not sure, and then he started walking off.
And these were the days when there was no video replays and you couldn't review a decision.
Yeah, that was the thing. So yes, there are examples of these players. Our own Mahendra Singh Dhoni, when India toured last time, England, I think in one of the test matches, I guess it's Edgbaston, where Ian Bell, the incident happened. I don't know if you all remember.
Of course.
I think.
Could you tell our viewers more about the incident? What exactly happened?
Actually, what happened was Ian Bell played the shot, and I think it was going to the boundary, and Praveen Kumar, I think, just stopped it before you know, touching the rope, and the ball was inside. So what Ian Bell thought that it has gone for a boundary, and he went to the other side, but the ball was still in play, and someone threw the ball, and MS Dhoni took off the bell. So technically it's out, and on the third umpire was given out. But then, you know, I think then it was a tea break, and they discussed it in the dressing room with the thing, and Ian Bell was called back again. And
what does it do to you all in the team, Shadab? You're sitting in a camp right now, which is so positive about their outlook to life. You know, they know that if they say, yes, I am going to say that this person was out, or I want this decision going my way, it might possibly help them to win the match. There might be a time when they don't win the match because of that one decision of being honest. But what does it do to you? As you know, when you were growing up in a camp, you started off playing with the likes of an MS Dhoni. How inspiring is it to be with people who don't cheat?
No, it's very inspiring. It shows the character of the team and the players. You know, you learn so much just watching them actually. And the incident that happened in England in the Test cricket, that shows the quality of MS Dhoni. You know, and even when I was playing for CSK, I played like 6 years for CSK under MS Dhoni. And we all these 6 years, I think we won the Fair Play Award, because as a team we made sure that we play it in the right spirit of the game, and you know, we don't do anything wrong, whether it's on the field or off the field. We respect the game and we play to, you know, best of its potential.
Nishad mentions this incredible thought of fair play. You know, can you explain to our viewers what is fair play, and can being fair and having a fair play outlook towards life still give you the result?
Yes, it can. I mean, now we hear this old adage that has been changed to the fact that nice guys do finish first. I mean, you look at Jack Callis. I mean, his case, it's really interesting, because there have been times in a year where he's hit the ball to a fielder, and you know, it's not sure whether it's bounced before the fielder and he's just caught it, and Callis has just asked him, have you caught it? Have you caught it? Have you taken it? And the fielder said yes, and he's just walked off. So he's gone on the word of the fielder, just believing and showing that fair play exists. It is his belief. If a player like him believes that there is fair play around, then why not believe the word of the other fielder? It's just that, you know, sometimes you've got these questions around when you want to do it. What if a team is in a bad spot? Do you walk off? That's also that's a question for another day. But Adam Gilchrist, it's quite interesting, because in that 2003 World Cup semi-final, he got out. The next ball, Ricky Ponting comes in and he gets out first ball.
Wow.
So imagine if Australia had lost the game. You know, people may have possibly praised Adam Gilchrist a lot more.
And you know, he mentions a word which is legends. They're possibly legends because of this, Shadab.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, it's possibly what makes you a legend. Legend, I believe, is your overall career. Legend doesn't just happen through one match. It's your entire journey. Shadab, is that something you look forward to be? I mean, you are for all of us in Goa.
I know, that's how I have played my sport, you know, all these 20 years of cricket since playing Ranji Trophy. That's how I want to play, and that's what the message I want to give to my own Goan fellows. And you know, it has to be played in the right spirit of the game. You know, stay away from controls, and you can control what is in your hand, and this is in my hand. You know, you can always control what is in your hand,
right?
And this is the best way you can do it actually. And sports is the best way actually. You know, it not only this is your characteristic, but it exposes you as well.
Absolutely.
So you know, you're setting an example for the people who are watching, to the young kids and everything. So it's absolutely, it's you have to do it.
Yeah, and Nishad, I think it matches, because in spite of Chennai winning so many fair play awards, that was also backed by reaching the finals, winning the finals, and currently being one of the best IPL teams with a record which is so difficult to match.
Exactly. Because
what is your take-back message? What is your take-back message to the people of Goa who are watching the show, when there is some thought of, should we cheat and progress, or what should we do?
Well, I'll repeat what I said earlier. It's that, you know, you can cheat the whole world, but deep down you'd always know that you have fooled someone. You probably would not appreciate your own success as much as the world would, because there'll always be that thorn in your head that we've cheated someone. And that's something some people may live with, but I don't think everyone can.
Shadab, there are times when we have been cheated. Okay, there are people who are cheating us, there are people who want to cheat us. As a person who approaches life in a very honest manner, How do you handle this, and what should be your approach to life if someone has cheated you, is going to cheat you, or you being a victim of being cheated and you have to come back?
No, for me, cricket has to be played in the right spirit of any other game. It has to be played in the right spirit of the game. And, I know what they did.
Is this just cricket, or would you say
no,
life?
even every sport, I believe.
And life maybe in
life,
general?
Life
Yeah.
in general as
Okay.
well. Because, your own instinct sometimes will, harm you, or, you'll keep thinking that, end of the day, when you come out of the field, you should always feel that you gave your best and you were honest to the game. You gave your best, you were honest to the game, and, the results, the things fall in place. But cheating is definitely, is the worst part you can do, but you can't get away. Maybe on that particular day, but it will definitely haunt you, the rest of your life, that you did it, and you will not be proud of that. And what Steve Smith and David Warner did completely, that was absolutely wrong. And if we also think that this was the first time that it happened, then that is also wrong, actually.
Yes. Okay. So Shadab and Nishad, it's been an honor having you all on the show. There's so much for us to take back, even just to general everyday life, that people say cheating's shortcuts to success, but I think there is no shortcut to success. It's all about hard work. It's all about persistence. It's all about what we do, how we do, when we do, and just keep progressing. It's incredible having you both in the show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure the viewers have taken back so much. We really appreciate this. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we've got someone from the love of Goa who's joining us to give his view on this. There's someone joining us from FC Goa. Stay right there. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Off the Field. This is our second episode where we are talking about when cheaters never prosper. With us in the studio today, we've got a very special guest who's joining us, the head of first team operations for FC Goa. We've got Karthik Menda with us. Karthik, you've also worked with other teams in the ISL. I believe before you came into FC Goa, you were with Mumbai City FC. But it's good to have you with us in Goa, and I don't think we want to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us on the sets and bringing the angle of football to it.
Hi Nish, and thanks for having me over on the sets.
No, it's a pleasure to have you. Karthik, there was something I read on your profile where you mentioned about screening of players, where you screen players before they're recommended for the first team. Can you tell us about this screening of players? What is screening of players?
Okay, so in ISL, until now, there's a high turnaround of international players. Every season in summer, when we have to recruit new players, so we reach out to agents, and they send us tons of players. Literally, like last year, we had over 600 players.
600 players?
Exactly.
For 11 in the team?
Not 11, 8. Because
Eight?
yeah.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So we are allowed to have 8 foreigners in an
Okay.
squad of 25.
Okay.
So yeah, for 8 positions, we have screened over 600, 700 players.
Okay.
Now, basically, the coach, and if there's anybody else like the head of recruitment, they will set basic guidelines.
Right.
Now, they can't possibly go over 600 players. So then they have people like me and one analyst and other people in the club, which help in sifting through the players, if I would say.
Okay.
Basically, it's to do with the playing style, how often they play. But then quite often it also leads to, what they are personally, like, on and off the field, how is the personality like, which comes as a differentiator when you find two similar players.
Okay.
Now, fortunately, we live in an age where any half-decent player does something on and off the field, it's written out on the internet.
Right. So there's some record.
There's a record for everything what you do, so especially the bad things that you do.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So basically, if we come, so there you have to go dig deep. Like okay, I like this player. After I finish my first level of whatever screenings, then I like the player. Then I will start digging deeper into his records, if I would say.
Right. So you go more into the detail of this is who I want.
Yes.
Now, is this really who will fit the bill?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you find someone who would fit the bill,
yes,
I believe you're looking for characteristics which, as you mentioned, are on the field and off the field, and then they tick the boxes.
Exactly. So, see, basically, if I say out of 600, maybe 10% are really good players, which we would like to have in our team.
Okay.
Then we keep shifting, maybe we come down to 1%. Then obviously characters like off the field and off the field. It's very important to have players who are who will gel well with the teammates, who will not cause problems for the team and for the club or on or off the field. Like, so that's where these minute differentiators are placed.
Right. Talking about minute differentiators, this is what you can do. You go from 600, you come down to 10%, you come down to 1%, and then you know that these are the 8. These are the 8 people I believe are going ahead, and they're going to represent my selection, the people of Goa, and possibly the people of India tomorrow when it comes to the world watching our football.
Definitely.
But things are not always in our hands, and there could be an incident where you are a screening expert of a football team and they yet go ahead and do something which you wouldn't be proud of. How would you handle that?
It's a very tricky situation because suddenly the whole media spotlight is on you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thankfully, whenever a player makes contracts and things like that, there are a lot of things stipulated in the contract which bind him not to do any things which would put the club or the player in a bad light. It does happen that, okay, now something has happened. Now, how do we deal with it? You have to sometimes take a brave front, accept it, what he has done,
Absolutely.
sorry, let him face the ban, go ahead with it. Sometimes we feel he's been unjustly, scrutinized for this.
Yeah, and when you say he now represents a face, he represents a brand, I believe it's not just match day, right?
Definitely not, because a match is once a week.
Right.
The player lives for, like, let's say in a week of 7 days,
Yeah.
he plays match only 1 day. 6 days he's outside somewhere.
Right.
He comes for training. He lives his personal life. So wherever he's going, people will identify him as a player of the team.
So
it's
he
definitely-
carries the brand on
Yes,
and off the field.
Exactly.
A lot more off the field.
Exactly.
A lot more of the field. So, even people watching the show, like a general take back for viewers right now is, you may be representing your family, you represent your corporate office that you work for, you represent life, but that representation that you are taking with you is not just at that moment when you're sitting with your mom and dad, but it's also when you leave the house.
Exactly. And more so, why people will get, these players will get the attention is because people follow them. They are the fans. They love these players. So anything good or bad they do off the field will also be caught and shared without our knowledge. Because when he's on the ground, when he's with us, we know what he's doing.
Right.
When he's off the field, if he does something bad, it will share, but when we are not aware of it, and it is already a fire when it comes to us.
Yeah, and I think why go far? All of us have been big fans of Spider-Man. And when we saw the movie, I do remember him saying that with great power comes greater responsibility. So I think the more you rise, the more you actually have something to tell back to the world. Stay with us. We'll be right back.